So many people are saying, say it isn't so. I love my TikTok. So in your opinion, was this decision fair, or was this truly a violation of the First Amendment? What's your take?
I just want to say, when I can tell you that my phone has been blown up, people panicked when this came out, and which is understandable. There are more than 170 million U.S. users on TikTok. I completely agree with the D.C. Circuit's opinion. This is not an impermissible infringement on First Amendment rights of users. You can still use TikTok to communicate. TikTok just needs to change their ownership to a non-Chinese owner. So I think that the court's decision was right on point, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and I'd be surprised if the Supreme Court overrules this.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Judge Douglas Ginsburg said in the court's opinion, here it is, here the government acted solely to protect that freedom from a foreign adversary nation and to limit that adversary's ability to gather data on people in the United States. So legally, Dr. Laura, what can TikTok do now to show the courts it's not a threat? They have to prove it, right?
Yes, they do have to prove it. And unfortunately, they failed to meet that bar with this D.C. Circuit decision. The argument they made before the D.C. Circuit Court is that they had put in the appropriate firewalls to protect TikTok user data from from China, essentially government officials gaining access. But it wasn't convincing enough. And so at this point, their only options are to try again by appealing to the Supreme Court, or if you're really lucky, a Hail Mary that hopefully for TikTok users, President Trump, once he's inaugurated on January 20th, will do a Hail Mary and save TikTok.
Wow. Well, TikTok is expected to ask the Supreme Court to take up the case before the sale deadline ends January 19th. Mark that on your calendar. Or to first request that all the judges on the appeals court review the panel's decision. So as we take a look at that and taking a look at the calendar, what do you think the outcome of that is going to look like?
Well, to be honest with you, there's just not enough time. Ideally, what the TikTok users would hope would happen is that the Supreme Court would agree to review the case and issue what we call a preliminary injunction. So basically, we'll put everything on hold until they have a chance to review the case and make an official ruling. Now, that could definitely take things well into the end of January, early February, which again won't completely solve the issue, but it will at least pause things and see if a higher court can have a different outcome.
Though the case is in the court system now, many people are wondering, could President-elect Trump throw the company some sort of a lifeline? And I can't emphasize it enough. You said that your phone is blowing up. People are talking about this online. People are really worried because this is a main form of communication, not just for young people, but more people are getting onto TikTok even now.
I agree. And it's not only just about the communication aspect. There are literally millions and millions of dollars of revenue generated on TikTok sales. They have a TikTok shop on there that I admittedly have shopped on myself. And so essentially what would need to happen is it is possible that President Trump's administration could help out. The problem is any assistance they provide would have to be after he's officially in office January 20th. The deadline is January 19th, based on the law that was passed by Congress and now upheld by the D.C. Circuit. So honestly, there's just not enough time on the front end for the Trump administration to help out before that 19th deadline.
And you've got to imagine all these people that love TikTok, and there are so many, as we mentioned, that they say, well, look, if it's banned, what kind of repercussions could I really face for trying to still use the app? Is it really going to be anything that serious? Is there anything serious that Americans could face?
No, there's nothing legally that they could face, but the reality is the way that the law has been set up that was passed by Congress is what they're going to do is put very heavy fines on apps that allow us to get access to TikTok. So your Apple App Store, people that use Google App Store to download the TikTok app. And so those platforms that allow us access to TikTok are going to be scaling back and eventually making it where we can't access it anymore. And so it won't even be an option for us. But before everyone panics, I do want to say my gut feeling is that even if the Supreme Court upholds this, I do think based on recently what we've heard from the Trump administration staff, they will keep TikTok. I think even if it pauses for a moment, for a month or so, I think it will have a new day. So all is not lost. And I just want to say that legally, I think that there's going to be a save. It may not be as soon as we want it, but I think TikTok is here to stay.
Wow, this is one to watch, and go figure.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.